So we're at the Toronto Zoo in front of the grizzly bear domain with Jeff Young, Wildlife Care Supervisor at the zoo. Jeff, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us today. Disneynature's Bears opens this Friday in time for Earth Day, and we wanted to get a little bit of insight into the type of bears we can see in the film. So why don't we start with telling us about the two bears that we can see behind us right now?
Well, you can see right directly behind us, this is Shinte, and she's actually a brown bear just like Sky. You'll notice the light brown coat, and coexisting in the exhibit with her is Samson, and he's actually a grizzly bear. They're the same type of bear.
Okay.
The brown bear lives on the coast, the grizzly bear is more inland.
Okay, good to know. Now, can you tell us a little bit about how a typical day for Samson and Shinte would look like?
Well, obviously, we show up in the morning. They're always anxious to see because they equate the uniforms and the zoo vehicles with food.
Right.
And I can't blame them. That's what we primarily come to do.
Yeah.
And we will come out and we'll go into the exhibit. Usually, if they're in their yards, we go into the exhibit. We'll do a clean. We'll provide some breakfast for them, and that's usually 30 pounds of vegetables and fruits.
A healthy breakfast.
Yes. And then, of course, they need their meat, and they'll get, at this time of year, they're getting, I think, around 5 kilos of meat.
Wow.
It's a carnivore, a Toronto Zoo carnivore diet.
Okay.
So we'll put that out there. We'll also do some enriching, and that's providing some stimulus for them to work on natural behaviors. So we could hide some scents into the
Okay.
exhibit, different herbs and smells in which they can investigate.
Explore and kind of find it themselves.
Exactly.
Great.
Put some honey in different spots, like you'll see a big keg that we have hanging in there, and they
So
love.
it's true then, bears like honey.
Yes. Oh, certainly. They love it.
Okay,
They'll
great.
actually salivate.
Now, when you were watching the film, did you see some similarities between the bears in the film and then the ones that you look after every day?
Oh, I saw a ton of similarities. It was really neat to see them in the wild. I
Yeah.
see them here all the time, but yeah, there's a lot of behaviors and a lot of just glances and body postures that
You'd
are
be like,
so
that's
similar.
Samson.
Yes. Well, Magnus and Samson, very similar.
Yes,
know.
totally. In the film, we see a lot of different types of relationships. So we get to witness a very loving and protective relationship with Sky and her cubs. And then we see the Magnus and Chinook rivalry, I guess. What kind of relationship would you say these two have?
They have like a roommate type existence.
Coexistence.
Yes, it's a little different. At times, Samson is very delicate with Shinte. He'll tolerate her no problem. He won't
Yeah.
chase her off of her food. Other times, when he's very hungry, he will certainly chase her away. She starts to move away. She reads his body
Okay.
language.
And how long have they been together?
They've been together probably pretty close to 15 years.
Okay, so she's
Yeah.
kind of learned that he's the boss and not to get in his way if he's looking for something, like looking for food.
Well, definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, he's 910 pounds at this time of year, and she is sitting around 400.
Right.
So, yeah.
In the film, we get to see, the baby cubs the first year of their lives. Have you ever had the chance to work with cubs?
I actually have polar bear cubs.
Oh,
Yes. And I tell you, that was just so breathtaking seeing that footage in the den.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when do you get to see a mother with her cubs?
yeah.
And the time lapse is so incredible that you actually, it happens so quickly, but it's just so exciting to see.
Yeah, definitely. Now, there's a big focus on, the bears finding salmon in the movie and how if they don't stock up, then they won't have, enough nutrients to get them through the hibernation. So I guess my first question is, do they, in fact, have, a true hibernation? And, how do you help them prepare for that winter sleep?
Great. They do have a winter sleep. We call it a hibernation, but it's not a true hibernation because they're not completely asleep the entire time. They do wake up through the winter. They'll come out. They'll look around. They may have a bathroom break.
Okay,
Then
okay.
they'll go back to sleep.
Yeah.
How we help prepare them is we monitor their body condition. We ask them to participate in their own health care, in which we get them to step on a scale.
Okay.
And
Wow.
we can track their weight, and
Yeah.
they pick that up so easy. And as we monitor how much their weight is increasing, we keep increasing their diet also.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. Now, in Canada, we've had a very long winter this year, I would say. It's April and we're bundled up. How would a long winter or a short winter affect a bear's hibernation?
Well, if we're talking about the bears in the Disneynature movie, they're up at a very high elevation. They have to stay asleep for a very long time, and it's roughly 6 months. And that is to time their emergence from their winter sleep with the travel time needed to get to the spots to
Yeah.
where they can get food. The sedge grasses aren't going to be there if they wake up too early. The salmon won't be there. We see that they're dependent on the heavy spring rains to allow them to
Right.
migrate up the river. And they have to time that right, or they will be hungry and sitting.
Right, no,
You know,
that's
and
so
for
true.
a mom and cubs, she won't produce enough milk to sustain her cubs.
Yeah. What got you into this business? Like, what made you want to work with animals and eventually work with bears?
Well, that's a difficult question. There's always been a fascination with animals, and I think I really didn't truly appreciate where that love came from until leaving the viewing of the movie, The Bears, in which I reflected on the fact that, Sunday nights we used to sit around home and we would watch The Wonderful World of Walt Disney. And those those shows, little did I know, I suspect truly inspired me
Yeah.
to do that. And here I am 24 years later, sitting not only at the Toronto Zoo, but also with Disney Canada. And for me, it's a great thrill.
Great. Well, thank you so much for sitting with us today. I definitely learned a lot. You guys can come see Samson and Shin at the zoo in the Canadian domain, and go see Disney Nature's Bears this Friday in time for Earth Day.